Yes, indeedy. Miss Dori Freeman here on the Women's Show. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to yell. I'm just being clear. All right. Yes, indeedy. Dori Freeman is hopefully going to be calling us, and it's just very shortly. She is our very special guest on, oh, yes, she's calling now. Sweethearts and Badasses of Americana and Beyond interview series with, I did put 474-5086 extension 1. Yep, I sent her the right number. Just checking.
Well,
anyway, let me tell you about the songs. You just heard Get You Off My Mind from her 10,000 Roses LP, was released in September. And before that was You Say. That was off of her self-titled 2016 album. And then we started off the program with The Storm, off of, there she is, off of 10,000 Roses. And we're really excited to have her. This is an upper-level artist that we don't always get. So thank you if any of her team is listening to make this happen. We're very, very honored and privileged, and I think she's ready to go. Is she ready to roll? All right, Miss Dori, you there?
I'm here.
Yay. Awesome.
Hey.
Yay. Thank you so much for giving us a call and being one of our very special honored guests on the Sweethearts and Badasses of Americana and Beyond interview series.
I love the name of that series.
Well, I have to say, I'm going to jump right into it. I was going to say this later, but you are a total badass and sweetheart.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, we can get into that a little later about, you're a mama and you have this sweet angelic voice, and one went, oh, what a sweetheart. Little do they know, you're badass. They don't even know. We're going to find out here. So those songs we played were The Storm from 10,000 Roses and You Say from your self-titled. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, it is self-titled. Yeah,
okay, self-titled debut EP. Yeah, on 2016, and then Get You Off My Mind. And those songs were selected by either you or someone on your team. And I'm wondering if they had special significance, or if you'd like to kind of speak to whichever song strikes you as worth speaking about.
So you said Get You Off My Mind, The Storm, and You Say, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, You Say was a pretty important one for me because it was the very first track on my very first record, and it was also like the most successful song on that record.
Okay.
And it was one of the last ones that I wrote before we recorded. So that one's pretty special to me. That's one I still play in every show. Just about every show I play that song. And then the other two that you mentioned, Get You Off My Mind, is the first track on my newest record. And I wrote almost all those songs, during the height of the pandemic. And they all have like a lot of nature references because I was spending a lot of time outside because obviously, we couldn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then The Storm, I actually wrote kind of with the idea that maybe someone else would record it one day. I was trying to write in a more like pop kind of radio conscious mindset. But I had it for a couple of years and no one had recorded it. So I decided to put it on this last record.
Well, you did it right. And I'll have to share, if folks haven't checked out, I think we put it on our women's Facebook, Twyla Twang's Facebook page, the video for that. That's such a universal theme and so what a gut punch. That gut-wrenching, we've all been there. We've been home alone crying when somebody's out doing something they shouldn't be doing.
Exactly. I feel like, and unfortunately, that is a very universal experience.
It is. It hurts. It hurts just to watch that for me. Well, those are some awesome songs, and I'm so glad that they chose them because Appalachian is one of my favorites. I Am, Nobody Nothing. There's so many great tracks on 10,000 Roses that it made it easy when they picked them for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great stuff. You described 10,000 Roses as electric, lo-fi, grunge country.
Yep.
I love that. That's so accurate.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to make like a, kind of a different record than my previous three. Who I worked with the same producer on the three before this, Teddy Thompson, and that was such a wonderful experience. And we'll definitely work together again. But this particular album, my husband actually produced, and it has sort of a different, just sonically and melodically, it has a different vibe, I think, than the previous three records that I've made.
And I have to assume it's not a coincidence that your husband is a percussionist, and it's got a pretty heavy drum sound. It's heavy. I love the heaviness of it.
Yes. That was one thing that I really wanted featured pretty prominently on this album. Was I did want a pretty drum heavy and percussion heavy album, and obviously, it's fortunate that I'm married to a drummer, someone who can, provide those things. But yeah, that was a direction I really wanted to go in with this album, and I think it turned out pretty well.
It did. You were very successful in that, I believe. I noticed, so the Teddy Thompson connection is really kind of a cool story that I want you to tell here in a minute. But I'm wondering, too, what I've learned in this field is how important the producer and that production process is to this, overall sound of an album. And without comparing necessarily the content of your previous three that you worked with Teddy Thompson, more in relation to the context of the production and working with, what's it like working with your husband for the first time you're producing this album together?
Well, we are used to working together because he plays live with me pretty often. He's also in he's in one other major band right now that's taken up a lot of his time, but ordinarily he plays with me when he can, and we play together live a lot. So we already had that as a foundation. And he really knew like the sound that I wanted, and I played all the songs for him when they were in their early stages and still pretty raw. So, it was great working with him. He's a very calm, like easygoing person too, which is exactly what you want when you're, working on an album with someone. But it was great. I think it was kind of an advantage having someone that knows your taste and knows your preferences so intimately, So
Sure.
That was kind of a bonus.
Yeah.
Having him produce this record.
Very cool. It came out just magically, I believe. I want to touch on this. I think it's just a really cool story. Tell us about that Teddy Thompson, how you connected with him. That's just the coolest story ever.
Well, so in 2000, I guess this would have been 14 or 15, I'd been a big fan of Teddy for a really long time since I was a teenager, and I sent him a message on Facebook, and it was just like a little video clip of me playing one of his songs. And I just said, I'd really love to work with you, and I knew it would be a long shot, for him to respond. But he actually wrote me back a few days later and asked if I had any original songs, if I wrote music, and asked to hear some of that. So I sent him an original song, and then it just kind of grew from there. We talked on the phone some, and eventually he offered to produce a record for me, and then we made 3 records together over the next, 4 years or so. So it was great.
Wow. And let me get this straight. That was like a blind direct message?
Yes.
Just out of the blue,
just blind.
Hey, Teddy, I'm Dori.
Yeah, I just was like, hey, that's what shows you the confidence of like a 21-year-old to just send someone a message and be like, hey, do you want to work with me?
Sure. Well, hell, it can't hurt to ask.
No. Well, that's what I figured. I was like, the worst that's going to happen is that he just won't respond, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Then you just move on. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of great collaborations, we're going to hear at the end of the segment, we're going to close with Walk Away that you did with Logan Ledger. And I know you've also sung with Eyre O'Donovan, and I'm sure you've had other collaborations. And tell us about those other collaborations and how they came to be.
Well, so Logan, I've actually still not met Logan in person, but I've been a big fan of his music for the last couple years since he put out his record.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband is friends with him, and they have a lot of mutual friends. They knew each other. So I reached out to Logan about singing on this record, and he fortunately agreed to. And then, I had Aoife sing on my second record, and the way that happened was pretty serendipitous, too. We actually were flying up to New York City, my husband and I, to make the record, to go record, and Aoife happened to be the person sitting beside us on the plane.
No way.
Yeah, way. And she knew Nick a little bit. She and Nick went to school around the same time in the Northeast, different music schools, but they were there at about the same time. And so they knew each other a little bit. And I just was like, hey, well, we're making a record if you want to, stop by and sing on a track. And she actually did. So it was really wonderful. I know. I've had some good luck.
That's what a blessing. And the serendipitous, man, when the universe starts working for you.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's a very strong family theme in your life. I know you've made a conscious decision to stay in your hometown in Virginia and not migrate to Nashville like everybody does. And I know you have some. I'd like the listeners to hear kind of a little bit of your family background because of I believe your grandmother's initial influence, great grandmother, and on down to your daughter. If you could just kind of speak, and how do you balance family and life and work if you want it all like a lot of women do these days?
Well, I mean, as far as work goes, it is a unique job because, I do get to be home a lot, but also when I'm on the road, it's, for several days at a time, which can be hard when you have a little kid,
Sure.
especially one that's now in school. So I just try to be like really strategic about when I schedule things. I try to make them over like long weekends, so I'm not gone for too long. And then in the summer, we just try to take her with us as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And also I live very close to my parents, and they really step up and help out watching her when I have to be on the road and things like that. And then as far as my family background in music, my great-grandmother, who I'm named after, she played guitar a little bit and sang a little bit, from what I understand. But she also raised, I think, like 10 younger siblings and then had children of her own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she never really got to pursue anything like that, but she did teach my grandfather how to play guitar. And he's a songwriter and a musician and also a pencil artist, and he's super talented as well. And my dad, on the other side of my family, is a bluegrass, old-time swing musician, and he teaches for a living. So I was just kind of always around it as a kid, like lots of festivals and music competitions and stuff like that.
It certainly informs your music in your life in a gigantic way.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. My grandpa and my dad are probably my two biggest influences.
With influences, you also, I understand, are you're kind of a book nerd. You're a lover of books, and
I am, yes.
And just kind of a one-off question that maybe nobody else cares about, but I love to read. I find it always interesting to find out, do you have a special spot in your house or your surroundings where that's where I'm going to go read?
That's a good question. I usually read in my bedroom. I tend to read like right before I go to sleep for, like 30 minutes or however long I can stay awake. So, I read every night before bed. And I read in the day too, but no, I don't have like a real specific spot.
Okay.
But I do probably read in my bedroom more than anywhere else.
Anywhere else, yeah. It's a nice way to wind down after the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I also normally would not ask artists about their tattoos. But,
okay,
girl, you got some seriously cool tattoos that have large significance. And I know that Nabokov's Lolita is not an easy read.
No, it's not an easy read.
But so those who don't know, could you tell us about your tats and the significance of having Lolita's kind of like top and front and center?
Yeah, so that was one of the first. I have a smaller tattoo on the back of my neck that I got when I was 18, but the Lolita tattoo is like the first real big piece that I got. And then below that is an actress named Jean Seberg, and then below that is a depiction of Jane Eyre, which is one of my favorite books and favorite characters. And so the idea is just to, I haven't gotten a new one in a long time. I'd love to, but the idea is to have like just a sleeve of women who were influential for me in some way, or characters that were important to me in some way.
That's going to be an awesome sleeve.
Yeah, I can't so wait you to get it done one day.
So you don't have the next one planned, is that right?
I have some ideas, but I haven't decided on anything yet.
I have this vision just popped in my head of Loretta Lynn's first single girl album art. You know, she's got that beautiful
awesome.
Befont. You know that, I don't know why that popped in my head just now, but
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, we do so appreciate. Well, I have to bring up you have such strong, tough lyrical content. That's so it ties into that literature where Jane Eyre and Lolita and the almost a Southern Gothic, right, that you bring, because there's an appreciation or acknowledgement of the dark, and at the same time you have this beautiful, sweet, angelic voice, and it's so clear and so pure that you can't help but hear the message. I just guess I want to acknowledge that juxtaposition, if you will. And as to me, what's a big draw? It isn't, you don't to me sound like, pretty little thing. You know what I mean? We're way deeper than that. That's just.
Yeah, I think with songwriting, the music that I always responded to is like the real super honest, vulnerable songwriting that's often, not super light. It's pretty dark and about things that are hard to go through. So I think I just try to write in that same mindset because I know that's what I respond to. So I just hope that other people respond to that too.
Yes, I do. I know others do. And you've been very well received with this was September release of 10,000 Roses?
Yep, September.
Awesome. And I know the pandemic has, let me also say an acknowledgement of the appreciation. You intentionally, with 10,000 Roses, did not want to make a pandemic record. And I'm so grateful not to hear. I mean, as beautiful as the work was, all them covers and solo acoustics, beautiful stuff came out. But thank you for not doing that.
Well, yeah, I just figured, I just knew that would be a common, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I just knew that would be something that was done a lot. So I just wanted to try to steer away from that.
Yeah. That's if y'all go out and check out 10,000 Roses and see for yourself. We are going to close out with Walk Away. I want to make one more question. This kind of a throw out, because I've also came across the information. Seriously, girl, do you really personally mail out your vinyl?
I do. Yeah, I mail out all my CDs. Anything that's ordered directly from my website, I'm the person mailing all that. Lot that's impressive.
That's really, really cool. So that might kind of like light a fire under somebody that I'm going to go to her website and order up some vinyl and CDs, because that your hand is directly on that. That's really, really cool.
Oh yeah, yep. I'll be the one directly sending it if it's ordered through my website. So.
Awesome. Well, do you have anything you would like to add that I may have skipped over that you want to make sure folks know about, other than how to get a hold of you and follow you?
No, I think, you asked great questions, and I feel like we touched on everything, so I'm happy.
You're good? Cool. And then do tell us how we can follow along and check out what's happening in your world, and when it will be safe to tour again. Not if, it will
right.
be eventually.
When it will be at some point. My website is DoriFreeman.com, and I'm also on Facebook, just under Dori Freeman, and Instagram, also under Dori Freeman. So you can follow me on any of those. I'm probably most active on Instagram, but I try to keep up with all three.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we can follow along with all that. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Dori. It's just been an honor and a privilege, and very, very happy to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you take care. And y'all, we're going to listen to Walk Away with guest vocalist Logan Ledger off Dori's 10,000 Roses.